I'm going to have to call a lady, Mrs. Lady Killer, Mrs. Personality. Her name is Judy Lewis. She's the wife of Jerry. Judith. What did I say, Judy?
Yeah, but that's all right.
I know two people named Judith, and this is one of them. Judith Lewis out in Nesbit, Mississippi. Judith, you got the greatest personality, one of the greatest personalities that I've seen in my lifetime. And how are things out in Nesbit, Mississippi?
It's actually a beautiful day, Carl. Beautiful. I got the killer right here. Better catch him while you can.
Okay, I will. I want you to introduce him. Instead of me introducing the killer, you know him so much better than I do. You introduce him, and then I'll talk to him on the golden airwaves.
Okay, to all of Carl fans listening and all of Jerry Lee Lewis fans listening, here's the one and only Jerry Lee Lewis, the killer.
My goodness, Jerry Lee, may I...
Hello, Carl.
Hello, Jerry Lee. May I welcome you to the golden airwaves of WTSB, and you are undoubtedly the great... You're one of the great... Do what now, Jerry Lee?
It's a great pleasure to be on your golden airways.
Yes, sir. I tell you, you've got one of the... You're Mr. Personality. You're the most dynamic showman probably show business has ever seen. And I was thinking about you this morning. I was saying I'm going to ask Jerry Lee when I talk to him, if you could live your life over, is there anything you'd change?
Not a thing, except I would have loved to have met Hank Williams in person. I would love to have met Jimmy Rogers in person, the Blue Yodeler. And I would love to have met Al Jolson in person.
Well, I can tell you I met Hank Williams in person, and he was weighed about 140 pounds. His band members had a nickname for him. They called him Bones, but Hank Williams died at the age of 29. But like you, Jerry Lee Lewis, he is a legend. You are a legend in country music. I know you're mighty proud of a lot of things that you've done. What are some of the things that make you most proud to have been a musician and being a part of that Memphis team out there in Memphis, Tennessee?
Right. Well, I just happen to have a God-given talent, Carl.
Yes, you do. You have a God-given talent.
That's what makes me most proud, is my God-given talent.
Okay. Now, you had some great friends out there, too. You know, tell people about Elvis Presley. What kind of fellow was Elvis Presley, and what kind of association did you have with Elvis?
Oh, he was like me, a regular screw-up. He was a nice guy. I'm joking on you.
Okay. Talk to us about Johnny Cash.
Johnny Cash was a fine person.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Good friend of mine.
Okay. How about the Perkins boys, Luther Perkins and
He was another good person. He was a good friend of mine, too.
Okay. I had a daughter named Kathy. I used to talk to Kathy a lot on the telephone. Can you tell me, not Jerry Lee Lewis, if Kathy is still living?
Who's Kathy?
The daughter of Luther.
Oh, I don't know her. I've never met her, Carl.
I've never met her personally, but I used to talk to her on the telephone. She was a music promoter, and that's how I got to know Kathy, but also Carl Perkins, and they weren't related, but well, that was an unusual time out there in Memphis, Tennessee.
I know, yeah.
But Jerry Lee, you sort of turned the music industry up on its ears. I don't think anybody's ever played the piano just like you do. I think if I had to name the number one showman in the world of all time, I would say Jerry Lee Lewis.
Well, thank you very, very much. And Elvis would have said the same thing. I was joking about Elvis a while ago. He was one of my best friends.
Okay. And he left Sun Records out there and went to, I believe, RCA. And
yeah, he did. Yeah.
And you've had some great rock and roll hits, a whole lot of shaking going on and Great Balls of Fire. And I've told you about my granddaughter. Her name is, I'm so nervous here, just about to forget her name, Grace Ann Carroll. Grace Ann Carroll.
Yeah, Grace. I heard she won a talent contest.
Yes, she is, and she'll play Great Balls of Fire. And she has an ambition. She wants to talk to you about 2 minutes on the telephone sometime. Would you accommodate that?
Well, I certainly I will. You know I will.
Okay, well, Grace Ann is up in Greensboro today, but she'll represent Sampson County in the Miss North Carolina pageant, so I'll get her one day and we'll call you back. And she wants to thank you, and she was in the top 10 in the contest last year, and so she's being back there again this year.
Well, that's good. I'm pulling for her.
Yeah, me too. I just wish you could. Wouldn't it be wonderful when she comes out on stage, you could come out right behind her and kind of applaud her a little bit? But she just absolutely loves playing, and she's had a lot of musical lessons. She's been down in Georgia and Kansas City to get musical lessons, and wherever you go, the name of Jerry Lee Lewis is greatly revered as one of the all-time greatest piano players that ever lived. Now, I think Elvis told you something one time, that if he could play the piano like you, he would never sing anymore. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's true. I'm just joking.
Oh, boy.
I guess he was joking. I don't know.
No, I think...
He was pretty serious. He was pretty serious about my piano playing.
Yeah.
Singing, too.
Yeah, so you do the same thing just all over again, but just I got my son Mickey in here. Mickey's got a couple. Mickey, sit down and say hello to Jerry Lee Lewis, and you ask him a question here, and I'll put Mickey on. Mickey says,
"Good afternoon, Jerry."
Oh, hey.
Okay.
Who am I talking to?
That was my son Mickey. He's the new. He's the
I
new.
know you're talking about Mickey Gidley.
No, he's the news director. I've named him after Mickey Mantle, and Mickey was a dear friend of mine, by the way.
Well, he was a friend to have, wasn't he?
Amen. Jerry Lee, all this fame and all this attention that you've had, the great celebrity that you are, how did fame change your life, and did it change your life in any way?
It never did change my life, you know. It got me to thinking a lot more, of course.
Okay. Now, what are some of the things that your fans may not know about Jerry Lee Lewis? Something that you could tell them that they may not know about you?
Well, I'm a pretty straight-going guy. I've never killed anybody.
Okay.
And, I've never wanted to kill anybody. I may have had a notion or two, but I didn't do it. And besides that, I'm a family man.
Yes, sir.
I got a good wife.
I love Judith. I tell you what, she's Mrs. Personality. I call her Mrs. Killer.
Yeah, well, she deserves that.
Amen. Well, Jerry, as you look back on a fabulous career, what are the first and second biggest highlights of that career as you look back? What would you name as maybe the first and maybe the big highlights, 2 or 3 if you can remember?
Well, when I put my first record out, Crazy On, Sam Phillips put it out for me, and I just went in at the audition. I just put it down on tape, just me and the piano and somebody on the drums, Jimmy Van Eaton, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And that was about it. He released it right on top of me, and he said, "Man, you got it." He said, "What are you going to do when all these little girls start screaming and hollering after you?" I said, "Probably marry one of them."
Okay. Any other memories?
Huh?
I hear somebody laughing back there. Is that Judith?
Yeah. I was Judith and Jerry Lee Lewis the fourth.
Okay, the fourth. Okay.
Jerry Lee Lewis the third.
The third. Okay, that's what I call him. The third here. Jerry Lee, as you look back on a fabulous, fantastic career, who was the most influential person in your career? And if it's 2 or 3 people, tell us about those as well.
Well, I'd say Hank Williams, Jimmy Rogers, and Al Jolson.
Al Jolson. Boy, I loved Al Jolson. I used to listen to him on the radio when I was a little boy, and I celebrated my 91st birthday just a few days ago, and I sincerely believe that I'm the oldest continuous broadcaster in America.
Yeah, I heard you were.
Yeah, I think I am. Now, I think you're trying to go back into public entertaining a lot. I think you're trying to get out about once or twice every month. How's that working out?
Well, it's working real good, and I'm just enjoying my life a lot more. I'm staying around the house a lot more, and but when I do go to work, I have to work, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I do love to work, and I had my leg was broken. I had an operation on it last month. And,
Okay.
it's getting well now, and I'm doing real good. And I can do my show now.
Mm-hmm.
And but I left Gene Autry out there a while ago. I wanted to add him in on that.
Boy, he was a big fan of mine, too, and I've talked to a lot of his secretaries. I never talked to Gene personally, but he sent me a great big old autographed picture one time, and then I have a cutout of Texas at my home there with barbed wire on it, and every piece of that barbed wire is over 125 years of age and sent to me by Pauline Autry and Mr. Buck Autry down in the Lone Star State of Texas. Yeah, Gene Autry, there'll never be another Gene Autry. There'll
never be another Gene Autry. He's right there.
And
that man could sing.
He could, and there'll never be another Jerry Lee Lewis either. And boy, you set the woods on fire. That Hank Williams wrote that song, "Setting the Woods on Fire," and I think you come along and you did set the woods on fire with a lot of your big hits, Jerry Lee.
Yeah, well, I done hit You and Again, and sold 1 million records on it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that sounds great. How about your book? You got a book out now. Tell me about the book. And
it's a good book. It's kind of funny, but it's good.
We're gonna have to get 2 or 3 of those and give them away here on the radio station. We're talking to Jerry Lee Lewis, the greatest showman of all time, in my opinion. You're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and Jerry Lee, I think sincerely that you ought to be in the Country Music Hall of Fame, and if I can do anything to help bring that about, I certainly would like to do it.
Yeah, I don't understand why they never put me in the Country Music Hall of Fame. I guess they didn't figure I was country enough. I don't know.
No,
I'm just an old country boy.
Yes, sir. Now, as I understand it, you were born down in Louisiana.
Yeah, I was born and raised in Faraday, Louisiana.
And I also understand that your daddy mortgaged his farm in order to buy you a piano.
Yes, he did. He mortgaged his home and farm. Him and my mama.
Okay. Well, tell me about Judith. I am just absolutely fascinated about Judith, and
Judith is a very smart person.
Well, she's a good person to have on your side, and I know she's a big help in helping you arrange all these personal appearances. What are some of the places you'll be going here in 2018?
Well, we'll be going to Las Vegas this month. Next month, I believe.
I saw the $1 Million Quartet, and that was one of the most fascinating stage productions that I've ever seen. And I know that. Have you ever seen the $1 Million Quartet performance?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Well, the one I saw was in
$1 Million Quartet. Sam Phillips named it $1 Million Quartet. I said, when are you going to pay me some of my million?
Okay, that's pretty good reaction there. You're known worldwide. You're not only a great personality here in America, but you're known all over the world and outside the United States. Where do you have your biggest fan base, do you think? Where's the biggest fan base of Jerry?
All over, just any place.
Any place, okay. That's
in the United States, especially in England.
Okay, especially in England. Okay.
Europe, yeah, anywhere in Europe, really.
Okay, what do your fans ask you when you make appearances from your fans? What are they? What is
in Russia?
Yeah, in Russia.
Right.
Okay. How did you get the nickname The Killer?
I don't know. Me and a buddy of mine was getting put out of school one day. We were being dismissed for 2 weeks apiece for fighting with his teacher. And he was fighting with another teacher. I was fighting with another teacher. But we were walking out the gate, and I said, well, I'll see you later, son. He said, I'll see you later, Killer. And we've been calling each other Killer ever since then. We were about 15 years old at the time.
Okay, now that's a great story.
And we're still doing it.
Okay, that's a great story.
Well, I'm still doing it.
Now, you had a tremendous amount of success. I guess you maybe have some low points in your life as well, too. Most people do. But what do you contribute as the biggest reason or reasons of your fantastic success?
Well, like I said, put my first record out on Steve Allen Show.
Okay. All right. We're talking to the Killer, ladies and gentlemen. The Killer, Jerry Lee Lewis himself. Jerry Lee, I think you're about 83 now. Is that about right?
No, I ain't quite that old. I'm 82.
Oh, 82. Well, I got you a little bit. I apologize for making that mistake. Okay. By the way, you learned to play the piano at what age?
8 years old.
Okay. Did you learn to yourself, or did someone teach you?
I taught myself.
You taught yourself. Most people that I've ever talked to, I had a teacher, but you just got on that thing and just kind of figured it out and learned it on your own initiative.
Yeah, well, in 2 or 3 weeks after I got my piano, my folks got for me, that thing looked like a piece of gold to me. And 2 weeks I was playing pretty good.
Okay. Well,
3 weeks I was really playing good.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I've seen in that $1 Million Quartet, you're on your back, you're laying on your back on top of the piano, and you're playing over your shoulders, and you're playing the piano, and you're playing it perfectly. And so that has to be one of the greatest things I've ever seen in my lifetime.
Yeah, I do that. I play it with my foot, and I play it all over.
I never missed a note.
You know, we don't.
Never missed a note.
Would you agree with me? We don't have music as good as we used to have. And what do you think about the music that we're hearing today? Are you satisfied with the music today? I think
I think most of it's a bunch of junk.
I do too. You know, good music has melody, rhythm, and harmony, and you hear very little of that now, or at least I do. But
you don't hear nothing like you used to hear.
Is music dead here in America?
Country music is.
Okay, Elvis you and Elvis almost killed country music at one time. It got down to a low ebb, but I guess Hank Williams kind of helped bring it back a little bit.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, you know, I met Hank first time backstage at the Opry, and then I met him again, and I've had his daughter born out of wedlock on with me about 40 different times. Jet Williams. Have you ever met Jet Williams?
No, I haven't.
Well, I'll have to get in touch with her and tell her to give you a telephone call.
I know Hank Jr. real well. He called me the other day.
Oh, he did. Well, we're talking to the killer now, the greatest showman that ever lived, the man that is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the man that ought to be in the Country Music Hall of Fame. And Jerry Lee,
I was the first one inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
The first one inducted. Well, that's a great honor itself. I happen to know Alan Stoker, and Alan is the son of, the Stoker man, head of the Jordanaires. What's it? Gordon Stoker. And
Gordon, yeah.
Yeah. I've had him on several times. He passed away about 2 or 3 years ago. But ladies and gentlemen, Jerry, I want you to tell these people that are listening in today that you love them, because I know you do. And I want to spend the last 2 or 3 minutes with Judith, and
okay.
And I'm going to.
I'll turn the phone over to her.
Okay. Well, Jerry Lee, thanks a million for being on the golden airwaves of WTSB this afternoon. And Judith, Mrs.
Judith is not here right now, but Jerry Lee Lewis III.
Okay, let's get him on a little bit here. Then that's Lee, Jerry Lee Lewis III. He kind of looks after a lot of your properties and a lot of your business activities. So, Lee, are you there?
I'm here, Carl. I'll take over for a second.
Okay. Well, bless your heart. We got about 2 minutes left up here. Tell the world about Jerry Lee Lewis, your daddy, and he's just the greatest showman I think that ever lived, and that's demonstrated and recorded, and I think he ought to be in the Country Music Hall of Fame. What about you?
I mean, I couldn't agree with you more, Carl. I think that any person on the planet that can give him an honor should. If he hasn't gotten it already, he needs to get every honor there is. You know, I'm a firm believer that you honor the people while they're here with us. You don't honor them after they're. I mean, obviously you honor them after they're gone, but I don't want anything to ever be, a ratings battle. I think that every one of those people that can give him honors can and should do it right now.
Okay, I certainly agree with that. Lee, how do you serve your daddy? You kind of look after a lot of his business interests, so you kind of accommodate him in many, many ways. But what are some of the ways that you help him?
I mean, Carl, I guess I'm a multi-talented guy. Wherever Dad needs me, that's where I go. If he needs me consulting on merchandise, I consult on merchandise. If he needs me to go to the store, I go to the store. So really whatever I can do for him and Mom, I make sure that it happens.
Well, I tell you, I'm just about as fascinated, maybe as much fascinated with Judith as I am with Jerry Lee. She's got a great personality, and they have a great love relationships. And,
Yes, they do.
And Lee, I'm going to stay in touch with you and Judith
Please.
and Jerry Lee. But where's the next activity? Where will Jerry Lee Lewis?
I'm honored, of course, but my husband is the reason, and I wouldn't even be talking to you unless you wanted to talk about my redhead days or something like that. But basically, I'm just his wife, and I try to be as normal as possible and keep him, you know, where he can be himself, and we can do things that people that are in love do. And it's just a pleasure to have Lee help us in our older days. And I wanted you to tell me what you said the other day about double first cousin.
About what now?
You told me something about your double first cousin.
Yeah.
Joke, and
It's kind of an old joke that I got from Talmadge Pollard a year ago. He would take somebody and say he is my double first cousin, removed by the Board of Health and then by the Sheriff's Department.
I thought that was so funny, and I couldn't remember to tell Jerry.
Yeah, I need to tell you about Mr. Talmadge Pollard and Paul Byrd sometime. They're grand old pioneers in the country music business, and
Yeah,
I tell you, we just
great line though.
we need to go somewhere and spend about 2 or 3 hours just talking about everybody.
I know that'd be.
And
Yeah, third cousin was removed by the federal government.
yeah,
Working in the health department.
yeah,
All right.
that's right.
Yeah.
Now, Grace Ann Carroll, who's in the Miss North Carolina pageant, has a burning desire to talk to Jerry Lee because she's going to be playing once again Great Balls of Fire. And so you and I are going to set this up. I'll be calling you later. But
Well, you got to get her on because I can't get the killer very often to do interviews, but he really wanted to do your interview.
okay, well, I appreciate that. And you tell him I appreciate it 1,000 times. And Grace Ann appreciates him. And she, by having played his song, she just feels a close kinship to him that we can't.
I know. We love it because I told you the other day we have such a young audience now that's realizing that he doesn't have to have all the bells and whistles and smoke and dancing girls and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
He can get out there if he had to by himself and
Okay.
entertain for hours.
Okay.
But, he
Well,
does enjoy.
Okay, I'm going to end this interview by saying I love you. There's thousands and thousands of people that are listening to you right now on WTSB that love you as well, and Jerry Lee and Mr. Lee there and all the great people that you are, and I wish you everything, good health and good luck, and may God bless you real good.